Let's take a brief look at the Gage Historical Pack. This was the 6th paid weapon pack released for Payday 2, and adds vintage weaponry from the 19th and 20th centuries. While I've never really been into guns outside of video games, I have to admit that using these relics to rob modern banks while being opposed by comparatively boring M4s and MP5s is pretty charming. Right then, the first weapon this pack provides is the Buzzsaw 42 light machine gun, based on the real-life MG42. Boasting a jaw-dropping 1,200 rate of fire, this beast won't hesitate to shred every last cop in sight. Unfortunately, its sight is pretty poor, as to which the low accuracy and stability can attest. Not to mention the less than ideal mag capacity will have you reloading pretty often, and without a tactical reload, you'll likely be spending just as much time reloading as you are firing. Then again, the ammo pool is plentiful on the Buzzsaw, and bipods negate the gun's low stability entirely. On top of this, there are plenty of accuracy increasing skills available to players to extend this weapon's poor range, if only by a small margin. So if you have decent trigger discipline and are willing to put up with frequent reloads, then the Buzzsaw will be an excellent choice, particularly on close quarters heists like Cook-Off. Next in line is the Nagant sniper rifle based on the Mosin Nagant M1907, although with a few alterations here and there. At first glance, this may just seem like a relatively generic middle-of-the-line sniper rifle in a similar ballpark to the R93 and Platypus. When averaging out the stats between the three, the Nagant falls somewhere in the middle. This isn't helped by the weapon's complete lack of a tactical reload or the admittedly interesting bayonet mod that, when used in combination with the weapon butt melee, will increase your melee damage and range by an insignificant amount. It's basically pointless. However, thanks to a handful of much better mods, including the refreshingly simple iron sights, the Nagant's concealment can be raised quite considerably. When partnered with the aced sneaky bastard and low blow skills, you've got yourself an excellent dodge sniper build. Although there is another sniper that accomplishes the exact same goal in a fraction of the points, being the Desert Fox sniper from the John Wick weapon pack. The rifle in question is so concealable with the aid of silencer skills that it can receive the maximum benefits of the basic dodge skills, saving up on 14 skill points. That doesn't mean that a Nagant is useless, mind you, considering the John Wick weapon pack is more expensive and, spoiler alert, a less worthwhile DLC than the historical pack. You may still find yourself coughing up the extra skill points and coming back to the OG dodge sniper. Moving on to secondary weapons, we have ourselves the Patchett L2A1 submachine gun, based on a specific make of the Sterling SMG. At a glance, this weapon might seem awful. Overwhelmingly so. The accuracy, damage, and fire rate are severely lacking, for sure. However, that fire rate actually works well in combination with the Patchett's deep ammo reserve, making for a very ammo-efficient secondary. The accuracy and damage are still suffering, but silencer skills can patch it, no pun intended, up nicely. There are several concealment mods available for this SMG, but they come at the cost of neutering the accuracy even further, and having the already lacking mag capacity. So this weapon is better suited for a silent killer armor build. I would reconsider packing this weapon on higher difficulties, anything above Mayhem that is, as the ammo efficiency that shines through on lower difficulties is dimmed by the sheer volume of health cops have on Death Wish and One Down. Finally, for firearms, ladies and gentlemen, the comeback kid is here! The Broomstick Pistol based on the Mauser. Once upon a time, in updates long since past, this weapon held the prestigious title of literally the worst weapon in the game. With laughably poor accuracy and damage in tandem with an obnoxiously slow reload, the Broomstick was by and large a joke weapon, used only by new players who didn't know any better or anyone looking for a cheap laugh at the poor handgun's expense. "No more," said the Broomstick, deciding he's had enough ridicule. With some time, effort, training, and namely a balance change from Overkill, the Broomstick returns to the weapon roster buffed beyond belief. I'm not exaggerating when I say the Broomstick has shot up from the worst weapon in the game to one of, if not the best pistol in all of Payday 2, when equipped with the precision barrel, which adds a staggering 110 damage at the cost of some ammo capacity. You're looking at a weapon with damage rivaling that of the Bronco. Unlike revolvers though, the Broomstick has mag capacity upgrades and skills, and can be equipped with a suppressor. When modded correctly in a complementary build, this pistol will serve as a fantastic weapon for players on basically any difficulty, even One Down. It simply does that much damage. The reload is still a bit painful, but it's easy to look past that when you're doing 200 or more damage per shot. Other perks of the Broomstick include a sniper tier scope that can be mounted on the side, a gadget mount, and when modded properly, being Han Solo's blaster. That's a fascinating thing about the Gage Historical Pack. Most of the weapons can be modded to resemble Star Wars weaponry. The Broomstick is Han Solo's sidearm, as I mentioned, and the Patchett and Buzzsaw are Stormtrooper weaponry, which would explain their horrendous accuracy, actually. Let's round off the weaponry this pack provides with 4 melee weapons: the Swagger Stick, the Potato Masher, no it doesn't explode, the Trench Knife, and the Spear of Freedom. Surprisingly enough, not just one but 2 of these weapons weapons are actually usable. The trench knife makes for a great dodge melee. Boasting maximum concealment and a quick swing speed, you can swiftly jab your enemies multiple times while fishing for crits. And the Freedom Spear has very high damage when fully charged, as well as a pretty long reach. I still use both of these melee pretty frequently nowadays. Finally, we'll look at 4 masks based on various historical figures from World War II. The British Bulldog based on Winston Churchill, Old Blood and Guts based on General George Smith Patton, the Constable based on Charles de Gaulle, and there's some debate on who the Red Bear is supposed to be. These masks are all excellently stylized, albeit at the cost of not taking to customization too well. Still, I'm quite fond of them. And that's pretty much everything. Would I recommend the Gage Historical Pack? For most players, I would. The Broomstick, while a bit weird and slow loading, is a great sidearm for any difficulty with the right skill set. The Buzzsaw is both fun and effective on indoor heists. There are some relatively good melee options, and even if they aren't the best, the Nagant and Patchet are still completely usable. I wouldn't say new players should spend their hard-earned cash on this DLC until they've played for long enough to have an understanding of the core game mechanics, and a willingness to play on higher difficulties. At that point, when you're looking for some fun, viable, and interesting looking firearms, I would then recommend the Gage Historical Pack. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.